مشاهدينا في كل مكان، اهلا بيكم حلقه جديده. احنا النهارده في ضيافه معالي فيلد سفير مملكه هولندا بجمهوريه مصر العربيه عن العلاقات المصريه الهولنديه وغيرها من الموضوعات. تابعوا حلقتنا. مشاهدينا في كل مكان، احنا معاكم النهارده في ضيافه معالي سفير مملكه هولندا بجمهوريه مصر العربيه معالي السفير مروتس سخابفلد. It's a pleasure to meet you today, Your Excellency, and please allow me to say thank you so much for having us today with you.
Thank you to you, Sarah, and to all the viewers in Channel 2 to have me on the program. And I'm also very happy that you do it here in my office. Next time I'll come to your studio.
It's a pleasure for us always. Your Excellency, the diplomatic stations is a major part that builds the political history of any ambassador. So if I may ask about your diplomatic station.
Yes, now in my case the history starts a very long time ago because my father was a diplomat. So I already traveled a lot with my parents, and then myself I did a lot of West Africa, Nigeria, in South America, in East Asia, and my last posting before arriving here was in Luxembourg, which is a very small country in Europe, but for the Netherlands very important as part of the Benelux and working together within Europe.
Going around the whole Europe or the whole world, as Your Excellency just said, did it affect your choice from the beginning to be a diplomatic?
Yeah, if your father has a certain profession, it's always the first thing you think about, and in my case it was. So yes, I was predestined to become an ambassador.
There is a special stations that really leave a print in anyone's life, or especially the diplomatics. So can you tell us, do you consider it really special for your career?
I have two stations. The one is of course your first official station, which in my case was Nigeria. And Nigeria is not always considered an easy country, but once you are in there, the people can be very friendly. The station I enjoyed most, and it was mostly also because of the work, was Burkina Faso, capital Ouagadougou, and which was a very special place with very friendly people and a lot of work.
You like friendly people? They really affect and leave a print in your character or your
friendly people, and especially tolerant people. Burkina Faso had half Christian, half Muslim, and they would marry together, and they would both go to church for Christmas, and they would both go to the mosque for Eid al-Fitr, and it was very easy living.
The fact that Netherlands consists of provinces and Israel, Germany and Belgium, did this affect the Dutch people, their customs or their traditions?
The Netherlands consists of 12 provinces. We used to have 11, but we built a province by emptying the water from one of our inland seas, and thereby created a lot of agricultural land and places for people to live. As you know, the Netherlands is one of the most populated countries in the world, and it does definitely affect the people and its customs when you have neighbors. Of course, the provinces which are more along the German border tend to have a certain accent, and people mix a lot. The same goes for the south on the Belgium side. Netherlands has always been a very open country with a lot of people coming in, migrants, refugees, since the 17th century, 18th century. And now, of course, there are also many people living in Holland, working in Germany, or living in Germany and working in Holland. So there's a lot of interrelation between the countries around the Netherlands.
It affects already the traditions and the customs.
It affects a bit the traditions. Of course, the Netherlands has its own culture, and that you'll find that everywhere. But it gets a lot of influence from Germany and Belgium, just like Germany on the border gets influence from the Netherlands.
Why it was named by the Netherlands?
The Netherlands comes actually from, it used to be called the Low Countries, because the Netherlands, as you know maybe, is 50% of the Netherlands is below sea level. If you land at Schiphol Airport, you will be 4 meters under sea level. To make sure that that keeps working, we have a very big system of dikes and dunes around the borders, and nowadays also along the rivers, to make sure that we do not get inundated, we don't have any flood. It defines very much also our work outside of the Netherlands, Just like here in Egypt, we are very active in the water sector. For a long time we've been cooperating with Egypt, Ministry of Water and Irrigation on the Nile and things like that. And we still have a number of projects which are running in that direction.
Your Excellency, the fact that Netherlands is really the most densely populated country in the whole world or Europe, if you're gonna only talk about Europe or the world, you said by yourself that we can benefit this, or we really benefit this. I want to know, how did you use this situation to be a point of stress or a strong point, not a weakness point?
Yeah, there's, let's say, a number of aspects. One is socially, which means with so many people agree and discuss most things. So sometimes decisions in Holland take a very long time because everybody is consulted and everybody thinks he or she has something to say about it. So we call it a polder construction. Polder, of course, is our dry land, but polderen means you discuss with all interest groups, the NGOs, civil society, government and business, all together to arrive at a decision, which then, of course, is supported by everybody. So that's on the social side. Of course, it also leads to a lot of tolerance. If you're all together in a small area and you are not tolerant, then things become very difficult. On the other hand, on the economic side, it gave a lot of efficiency. Efficiency in agriculture. So we have a lot of agriculture which even goes in different levels. So you can have tomatoes here, and you have strawberries there, and you have beans higher up. So you have very intensive livestock. So cows, nowadays we try to bring them still into the field, but a long time ago they would stay their whole life inside. Because we just have too many cows to be able to graze them all at the same time. So at a certain moment there's a limit to how efficient can you be and still be sustainable or still be friendly for, let's say, animals which you want to be in Holland. Of course, it wasn't always like that. After the war we had a period where we had emigration. So a lot of Dutch farmers went to New Zealand, Australia, Canada, Luxembourg, because they couldn't find enough jobs. But since the 60s, 70s, the economy has been growing, so we have enough jobs for everybody, so we're managing very well.
That leads me to ask Your Excellency about being a decentralized country. Did it also benefit the industry and benefit the economy inside the country and the people, part of managing the people inside?
Decentralization is important to give the people the feeling that they are participating. Well, not only the feeling, but also actually participating. We are decentralized. You have a central government, you have provincial government, and then you have municipal government. And they are voting systems on all levels. It's important for people to be able to participate in decisions in their surroundings, so that's why environmental decisions are mostly taken at provincial level and social decisions are often taken at municipal level. But that also means that you need a system of finances from the central government, which gets the central taxes, to municipalities so that they can implement the decisions they take and the responsibilities they have. So it's a whole system you need to make it work. And it's taken us 400 years to do it, so I think we're there.
With an experience of 400 years, as Your Excellency just said, can I ask you if there is a country that really wants to be transferred to the system of decentralized, what kind of advice would you tell here? Any country they want to transfer to this system?
It has to fit into your, I would say, your political ideas of the population. Just decentralizing is not enough. We've had a lot of countries where also from the Netherlands in cooperation we pushed decentralization because we liked it as we have it in Holland. But if the infrastructure is not good enough, if the politicians at national level don't really believe in it, then you will never manage to have a good decentralization. And you have examples all over the world where decentralization has been very difficult.
The port of Rotterdam is the biggest port the whole world. How did it affect the economy of the Netherlands island?
It's a very important part, of course. The Netherlands is a delta, a bit like the delta we have here in Egypt, but the delta means that you have a lot of commerce with the countries which are along the water, and Rotterdam is also considered the biggest port of Germany because a lot of the cargo goes to Germany. It affects a lot, not only as a port, but also as a very important place for logistics. Is very highly appreciated around the world, and also takes into account that you don't need very large stocks if your whole logistics and transport is well organized. So you don't need big warehouses, you don't need a lot of money invested in stocks which are going to be used next year, but you do it in such a way that everything gets in on time.
Netherlands is very famous with its flowers. This is something really the whole world see as a print, as a footprint for Netherlands. So if I ask Your Excellency, how did you manage to have such a nice influence in all world and in the field of agriculture especially? What was your plan?
I'm not sure it was a very big plan, but it really developed. And I think for the flowers you need to look at two things. One is, of course, producers are the most famous about. The other thing is the logistics, and we get back to what we spoke about, is that in Holland is the biggest flower market. So you even have orchids from Thailand are flown to Holland, sold in the market, and then flown to New York to be sold to people who live there. So it's also the very central market role in Holland, which has made us big in flowers. And so it's production on one side and logistics on the other.
Also, Emmanuel Festival for flowers, I think, that you already held every year. Can we talk about it and the benefit of it also?
Of course, the flower is the Floriade, and it is held every year. As you know, the biggest flower we have is the tulip, but the interesting part for the grower of tulips is a tulip bulb, because that we can export again for being used in other countries. And which means that you have all the flowers left over, and with those flowers they make the very big floats, very big trucks, then goes through the areas where the flowers are grown. So it's a bit of using flowers which are not being sold, at the same time a nice showcase to see what things are possible.
كنا معكم اليوم في ضيافة معالي السفير مروتس سخابفلد، سفير مملكة هولندا بجمهورية مصر العربية. بشكركم لحسن المتابعة وإلى اللقاء.